Welcome to Throwback Thursday, where we bring you a homeopathy hangout episode from our archives in case you missed it first time round. Because this episode may be a couple years old by the time you hear it as a throwback, some of the special offers, links, or content may not be valid anymore, so please keep this in mind when listening. You're always welcome to reach out to us at info@eugeniekruger.com. Enjoy the episode. Today's guest is Misha Norland, the principal of the School of Homeopathy. Misha grew up with homeopathy in his DNA, his father being the late Misha Norland, who founded the School of Homeopathy, where Misha trained in 1999. Misha has also studied with many leading homeopaths, including Jan Scholten, Massimo Mangialavore, Shashindra Joshi, Rajan Sankaran, and he's done Jeremy Sher's Dynamist postgraduate course. Misha is also a founding member of Homeopathy Course Providers Forum and a founding member and vice chair of For Homeopathy, the pro-homeopathy group of 11 organizations in the UK. With this group, Misha has been instrumental in the rebranding of homeopathy in the UK with the development of a new logo, celebrity campaigns, and media intervention. He stands on the events panel for the Society of Homeopaths and is on the organizing committee for Homeopathic Research Institute. Misha also teaches students in the 4th year about setting up in practice. Misha is passionate about the positive promotion of homeopathy to the general public and has written many consumer-facing articles on homeopathy and has been interviewed on BBC Radio several times. He has lectured on the subject many times in the UK and overseas in Belgium, Hong Kong, Ireland, Japan, Norway, Israel, Serbia, Australia, America, Canada, Greece, and South Africa. To find out more about the School of Homeopathy, visit www.schoolofhomeopathy.com. Enjoy the episode.
Welcome to the Homeopathy Hangout, where we discuss all things homeopathy from around the world. And now my mum and your host, Eugenie Kruger.
Hello, homies, and a very warm welcome to Homeopathy Hangout. Today, we get to speak with the lovely Misha Norland from the School of Homeopathy in the UK. Welcome, Misha.
Hi, welcome. Yeah, it's great to be here. Hi, homies. That's your podcast nickname. I like it.
It's our tagline.
It's a good tagline. It's very friendly. It sounds like they're just around the corner and we're all hanging out together. It's good. I like it.
Here in Perth, that is happening. We've got about 1,000 mums here that are all in my little Facebook group that, and they often go and drop remedies off to each other's houses and we often have catch-ups. So it really is like my home girls.
Excellent. That sounds nice.
Yeah.
It's great to be here and I'm very pleased to be talking to you about homeopathy and learning homeopathy in the school and so on.
Wonderful. Now, Misha, you obviously need no introduction and no explanation of how you got into homeopathy, but incredibly, there are going to be some listeners that don't know who you are. I can't imagine who they would be, but there might be one or two. Maybe tell our listeners how you first discovered homeopathy.
Okay, I probably first discovered homeopathy when my father was giving me a tincture when I was about 5 or 6 years old or something like that. Because my dad is a well-known homeopath. His name's Misha Norland. Sadly, he's no longer with us. He passed away last year. But that meant that myself and the family, we all grew up with homeopathy around us. And I'm the eldest of the boys. I was in there first. And when I was little, I used to suffer a lot from eczema. And I used to get it in the pits of my elbows and behind the knees, the kind of classic hot spots, really horrible, really itchy. And obviously under times of stress, it would spread. And my father was just getting into homeopathy around that time. He left a career in movies to train as a homeopath and was known locally. I grew up in Crouch End in North London, and he was known locally as the kind of barefoot homeopath or the long-haired homeopath, hippie homeopath, because he used to walk around Crouch End in bare feet with a long hair and a ponytail, looking quite the dude and helping people with homeopathy. And he very quickly got a very big and successful practice and grew from there. And he, of course, was helping me with homeopathy. And so he created this little tincture. It's called an LM potency, for those of you that know what LMs are. They're like a very kind of weak, diluted form of homeopathy that allows you to take it more often. And so I was basically taking this whenever I had an itch or a scratch, which was quite often. And this thing had a little taste of alcohol to it. So I used to quite like the taste of it. So I'd be dosing myself up with this remedy. After a few weeks, the eczema completely cleared up and I've never had it since. So that was my sort of first introduction to homeopathy.
We all just love your dad so much. I unfortunately never never had the privilege to meet him in person, but I feel like I know him because I have watched countless hours of YouTube videos of him explaining materia medica, because he would just explain it like he personally knew that peregrine falcon, or he personally knew that lycopodium. Like, he just had such a way of making it come alive. And you actually look so much like him. You probably get that all the time, but you two just look like two peas in a pod. You look so similar. And
I do get that.
Yeah.
We were once going to New York together to do some teaching. We were on the aeroplane and the lights were down low and we were watching a movie, and the air hostess came down the aisle and she said, "Oh, wow, are you two brothers?"
Oh, your dad would have
and
loved
my
that.
dad was so pleased. He was like beaming for the entire trip. And then, of course, went round telling everyone in New York that we got mistaken for brothers.
Oh, and I had to giggle about you saying you like the taste of alcohol, because a lot of our clients, I don't know how many messages you've had, but I have had like dozens of text messages of my child just ate my entire homeopathic kit with the sugar pills, because of course the kiddies love it. But actually some kids really like that. So the mum thinks, okay, I'll leave the sugar pills and go for the alcohol, for the tinctures, the liquids. But the kiddies love those as well. One of my friend, her son, who was about 3 or 4, he just drank like all her liquids. So he would have gotten a good dose of vodka in there. Yeah.
Yes. No, those pills are tasty for little kids. They're made of sugar of milk, so they're pretty yummy.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was young, my dad came downstairs. This was when we were in Crouch End. I was really little, and I'd pushed a chair up against the remedy cabinet, and I had my hand in the drawer, and I was just helping myself to a bottle of remedies. I was just pouring a bottle of remedies into my mouth to have all the sugary goodness. But he stopped me before I managed to continue my way through the entire drawer. But thankfully, with homeopathy, it doesn't matter if you take one remedy or 100 remedies, the dose remains the same. So,
exactly.
Yeah, so no damage done as far as I'm aware.
Just today, I had a mum tell me that her daughter has really cottoned on now. So she doesn't eat the whole bottle anymore. She just eats the bottles half. She just makes sure she leaves enough behind. So, Manny, how did you become involved with the School of Homeopathy? And tell us a little bit about the School of Homeopathy.
Yeah, of course. So the school started in 1981. My father started it. It wasn't the first school, but we are now the oldest school in the UK. But the first school was started maybe a couple of years beforehand, and he was one of the lecturers there. And the students kept saying to him, "You should start your own school." And it just so happened at that time we were moving from London and going down to southwest, down to Devon. And so when my dad made that move, that's when he started the course down in Devon, and it quickly became very popular, and it was originally it was run out of a place opposite where we lived, and then we moved again, and then it was run out of the family home. And having it in the family home actually gave it that kind of family feel. It is a family-run business. There was my dad, there's myself, there's my wife, there's my brother Luke. We're all involved. So it has that kind of warm heart and that kind of family feel, which does, I think, work really nicely with something like a healing subject and something like homeopathy. I was actually in London and working as a designer at the time for the leading agencies in London and doing brand and graphic design and enjoying myself in my 20s and earning good money, and London's an exciting city. But in the back of my mind, I was thinking, I should learn a little bit about homeopathy. Of course, I grew up with it and I had all of these ideas, potentially knew more than I realized, but I'd never had a formal education. And I just thought, I'll go along and do the first year because it's such a good thing to know about so that you can help your family and friends and loved ones. And so it was really just for practical reasons. And I told my wife, and she said, "Oh, wow, I'd like to do that too." So we used it as an excuse to get out of London one weekend a month, because the school's attendance course is one weekend a month for 4 years. And so we went and did the first year and then completely fell in love and got the bug. It's like nothing else studying homeopathy. It's such an interesting subject. And when you come back as an adult learner to learn something that you're interested in, it's so different to when you were at school. I think many of us have difficult memories about education and school and college and so on, not always comfortable, trying to do really well and trying to succeed in subjects that we didn't really enjoy. And so coming back as an adult learner is just so different, because you're passionate about the subject, you want to learn it. And so it's an enjoyment, it's giving yourself a gift. And so it was like that for us. We were leaving the smelly city and going to the beautiful countryside, hanging out with the family, learning this amazing subject, and then going home and working on our assignments. And we just lost ourselves in homeopathy for that year and then decided, let's carry on. We loved it so much. We did the second year. And then we had to take a bit of time out because we made this sort of massive decision to change career. And that's when I left the sort of design business and went into homeopathy. And actually what happened was a friend of my father's that ran the School of Health. Back then it was called Alternative Training, but we rebranded it. And so he was running the School of Health and he was wanting to retire. And so I started chatting to him at the end of, it was 2004, I think, the end of 2004. And then by the early 2005, we bought his business. We'd remortgaged our flat in London and bought his business. And then that year we moved out of London, left our jobs, moved into the kind of cottage end of the family home, moved that business from Wales down to Devon. And I started getting involved with the homeopathy course. So it was like this crazy year. And when you look back at it now, it's just as well as young and full of energy. You wouldn't plan something like that. It was bonkers. You just crack on. And that's what we did. And that was my move from commercial, high-end business, corporations, meeting with board directors, and then coming into this lovely world of natural medicine, and especially homeopathy. Everyone you meet is just so lovely. And it's such a contrast to the kind of world that I was in before. Of course, people are lovely, but it's different. Big business is very different. And this homeopaths, it does attract a particular lovely type of person that's into helping people and healing and nature and the environment. And you put all of these things together and it's just a nice profession to work in. And yeah, my wife and I made that big change. And it's not dissimilar. If I look back now, it's not actually that dissimilar to what my father did. He was very successful in the advertising and movie industry as an editor working in Soho. And then in his late 20s, he found homeopathy and everything changed. And I was similar in the design industry. And then I was in my late 20s and everything changed. And I think it's quite a common age for people to get interested in homeopathy. At the school, we do some 18, 19-year-olds come onto the course, but they are far and few between. And I do think it's a subject that attracts an older person. But I think in a way that's a good thing. It's okay because the more life experience you have under your belt, then a better place, that you're in a better place to talk to other people about their health issues and their well-being because you've probably experienced similar things in your time. That said, I do get excited when an 18 or 19-year-old wants to join the course because they've got their whole life ahead of them.
And of course, Hilary Dorian and Ian Watson, two of my just favourite homeopaths, they both started when they were 19 years old and 40 years later, they're still going. So yeah, it shows you do.
Absolutely.
And actually, I said to Ian about that, do you think it's like a disadvantage starting so young? And he said, no, it just meant he didn't have any preconceived ideas about what it is to be divorced or what it is to have been cheated or what it is to be a child because he'd never experienced any of that. So there's no preconceived ideas. So I thought that was interesting. But what sort of age would you say on average and what sort of demographic is at the School of Homeopathy and what sort of people do you have and do you see people worldwide? Is it a worldwide course or mostly in the UK?
Yeah, so the course started in the UK as an attendance course, and then in 1987, my father started what would have been then a correspondence course, a distance learning course. And that has developed over the years into this amazing online course that you can do from anywhere in the world. So I would say we have about 50% of our students coming from abroad now, and a lot actually in Australia, and then of course America and Canada and New Zealand, all the English-speaking countries, but all across Europe and the Far East as well. We have students in over 100 countries, and at any one time we have around 500 students doing our courses.
Wow.
So yeah, and it's the online course is very nicely structured. Everything is beautifully written down and easy to follow. And then you have all these pre-recorded movie lectures and audio lectures that you listen to that accompany each module. So, for example, year one of the course is made up of 7 modules. And then you would work your way through Unit 1, reading the unit and reading the books and listening to the lectures, answering the kind of self-assessment questions. You're assigned a personal tutor that's very caring, but also a fully practicing homeopath. So they know homeopathy inside out and they're there to support you and answer questions along the way. And then at the end of the unit, you answer the assignment questions, and the students love the assignment questions. Just, they really get you thinking, and there's such good fun. Our school has a very kind of philosophical, esoteric kind of edge to it, which the students really, because it gets you thinking at a deep level and gets you thinking creatively and exploratory as an adult. And many people say that homeopathy is like a different perspective on the world. I always remember this beautiful quote from one of our students that said, going to the School of Homeopathy is like going to a university all about yourself, because you're learning so much about what it means to be human and how the human body works and the difference between health and disease and how to bring somebody from disease back into health, that it's just a fascinating exploration of humanity and all of nature and all of these things that can be used to make medicines to heal the sick. And it's a very big container. It doesn't matter about where you come from or your outlook. Homeopathy kind of fits. So we get people from all walks of life and all ages. We've got people on the course, like I said, that are like 18, 19, all the way up into their 70s. I would say that the predominance is around the 30 to 40s. That's probably what most people are. And we get a lot of mums and a lot of women, as you do in many of the caring professions, like nurses and natural medicine and so on. I think.
Psst, did you hear the news? If you're in Australia or New Zealand, you can now study to become a homeopath with me. That's right. I am bringing the Centre for Homeopathic Education's world-renowned training program that has been running for 28 years to Australasia. First intake starts in September. Check out episode 398 of my podcast or visit chehomeopathy.com.au for more information.
Women are just more natural nurturers and carers. It just goes with territory, and they make fantastic healers and homeopaths. That's not to say that we don't get men. You were asking about what sort of people come. And mums come, I think, because they've got a young family, they want to look after the kids, and they start to really think about what are in these drugs? What are the side effects? What are the chemicals? Do I want to give that to my precious little girl or little boy? And they start to reevaluate their healthcare systems that they're using. And I think you can divide people into two categories when it comes to healthcare. There are those that are very happy to go down the conventional route first. And here in the UK, we have the NHS, and it's free. It's free for people to go to. Of course, it's not free. We pay for it in our taxes. It's free to go to. And so a lot of people think, well, I'll just do that first. I'll just try that as my first port of call. And then if that doesn't work, then they might try homeopathy. And then there's the other category, which is they try natural medicine first. And they, in the back of their mind, they know that if that doesn't work, of course, they can always go to conventional medicine and see their GP. And so you've got these two camps of people. And I think as families start to have children, that's where maybe a bit of a shift happens, and they start to look at the kind of natural possibilities. Yeah, I drifted all over the place there.
No, that's fine. I was actually just going to say something really freaky happened while you were talking, because as I was like looking through your website the other day, you know how you have all these, the world's most famous homeopaths on your website that kind of slide through on the header with a quote. And with yours, it said homeopathy is going to a university all about yourself. And I was actually about to write this in my notes of mentioning that to you as you said it. And I was like, oh, that's freaky.
Synchronized.
It is.
Yes.
But what I was going to say is that on Fridays, I batch record my podcast. And the gentleman I had on just before you, which was the amazing Jeff Johnson. And thank you so much for nudging him to come on the show. And he is one of the lecturers at your college. And holy moly, what a man. So anyone listening to this episode that want to get a feel for what the lecturers are like, go and listen to that podcast episode. I was like, I didn't want it to end. I was like, I'm so sorry I have to go because I've got to interview Manny now. But you know, it's knowledge and the depths of it, the depth of his knowledge. And it's just, he goes down this rabbit hole and that rabbit hole. It's like just this, it's just absolutely amazing. And the lecturers that you have are just so incredible. And also just want to say for our Australian listeners that your school is one of the only a couple that actually have registration here in Australia. So if the Australians do study through School of Homeopathy, they will be registered by the Australian Register of Homeopaths over here. And that's really helpful to know as well.
Yeah, we've worked very hard to get the course registered in the main countries, which obviously raises the whole profile of education in the school for all the other people in the countries where registration doesn't exist. Mm. So yeah, we're the only school in the world that's accredited in Australia, America, the USA and the UK. Mm. And all international students, when they graduate from our course, attendance or home study, they can register with the Society of Homeopaths in the UK, regardless of which country they're in, which is, it's fantastic because it gives you not only the qualification from the school, but the registration with one of the world's leading registering bodies. Yeah,
so
that's good.
What would you say the experience of studying homeopathy is like? I'm always like giggling as I'm asking you this question because it's like asking somebody what is homeopathy, because the experience of studying homeopathy is actually quite a journey in itself. But if you think back of yourself and your wife when you started your journey, what would you say that was like for you?
Yeah, I'd say in one sense it's mind-blowing, and in another sense it's like sort of a bud slowly opening and blossoming. That kind of the more you learn, the more you flower. It's just such an interesting subject from a philosophical perspective, as well as the fascination of studying all these different remedies. So in homeopathy, there are over 4,000 different remedies currently available now. And every one of those is made from something in nature, whether it's from the plant kingdom, the animal kingdom, or the minerals. And just studying something from nature in that way as a medicinal subject is fascinating in itself. But then you're almost looking at the sort of personality of the remedies. You can almost create caricatures of them. And that's really interesting, to look at nature in that way and to explore a substance and to understand its healing properties and how that relates to the human. But then there's the exploration of what it means to be human and what is somebody's purpose for being, and why in this world, in this environment, are they having stress that is then causing them sickness, and where are these stress points? And as a homeopath, we're kind of following the patient's pain, the patient's sickness, and we're trying to understand and explore that with the patient. And just by getting the patient to explore and talk about that is so healing in itself, because you hear yourself saying it. And that's therapy in itself. But then as a homeopath, you sort of analyze all of that and explore all of that in using the methods and tools that you learn through homeopathy. And so there's this kind of detective work to being a homeopath that's really exciting as well. And this analytical work that comes after you've taken the case. And then you're what's called repertorizing the case, or to find the best remedy. So we have computer repertories and we have the books as well. Most of the computers have really moved things on and made things easier for us. And that process is really interesting too, taking the symptoms from the patient and putting them into the repertory, and then it throws up all these remedy suggestions, and then you need to explore these different remedy suggestions. And so that whole process is really interesting. But then there are all these main kind of philosophical points that you're learning as you study homeopathy. So, what is health? And what is disease? What does it mean to be healthy? And what does it mean to somebody to have good health? And exploring that. What's the difference between acute and chronic illness? What does it mean when somebody suppresses an illness? And what are the repercussions of that on the human organism? We're all so used to putting ointments and creams on bruises and scratches and rashes and so on. But what's actually going on for the body when you suppress an illness like that? Where does that illness go? Understanding suppression, learning about pharmacy and potent anatomy and physiology, how the body works, what happens to different things when it goes wrong. Then we have these amazing things in homeopathy called miasms, which are like hereditary genetics in modern medicine today. But it's all about, what did you come into this life with? What came through your DNA from your grandparents? What are the traits that have been passed down the line to you? But also, if you want to go there, what have you brought in energetically? What is this? What are you here to learn? What is this life about? You're back to that kind of purpose. And so thinking about that, and those are called miasms. And the founder of homeopathy came up with 3 different miasms, but now there's 11 or 12, and there's a whole way of categorizing the patients based on their miasms. And at the School of Homeopathy, we also look at the 4 elements. So you're looking at earth, water, fire, and air, and the 4 temperaments that go with that: choleric, sanguine, phlegmatic, and melancholic. And that creates a whole nother map and a whole way of looking at personalities and people. So that's all really fascinating as well. So it's just such an enriching subject. And
that's
it just
great.
makes
You go
think
into
of
those
people.
4, like the phlegmatic and sanguine and all that, because you see those terms used in the repertory. And I was thinking the other day, I really need to go and do research on this, because we never covered that in my studies. And I should probably go do a bit of reading up on this. It's amazing that you do that as well. But if you could sum up like this, what it's like to study homeopathy Like in one word, what would you say?
Inspirational.
Oh,
I think when I talk to the students, they're really, they find it so inspirational. And I guess life-changing is the other thing, because you just learn to look at nature and people in a different way through compassionate and loving lenses. And that is such a gift in a world that's actually quite spiky and difficult at times. And so to have those tools of understanding why people do things and how you can help, it's a real gift. So learning homeopathy is, you're not just helping other people, you're not just learning a skill or a profession to go out there and earn money and to help people. You're also helping yourself to increase your understanding and your self-awareness of kind of what it means to be on planet Earth. And that's, and like I said, adult education is such a gift anyway, but then to learn a healing subject like homeopathy with that kind of depth, it's like doing a little yogi meditation course. And you go to those deeper places. Well, you certainly do on our course anyway. And you do on, I'm sure, other courses as well.
That adult education thing is really something special. I always say I was pregnant and working and studying homeopathy. And at no stage did I ever feel overwhelmed by it. Like there was never a reality where I wasn't going to finish my course, because it's just, like you said, inspiring is what I would say as well. It's eye-opening and expansive. And it's just makes you can never unsee what you've seen once you've been through homeopathy, and the way that you look at the world will never be the same again. So what sort of things will people, do you only have the homeopathy course, or you've got the School of Health as well? So what study options do people have with you? And is it only a diploma of homeopathy that they come out with, or can they do like acute prescribing, or what sort of options do you?
Yeah, so we have a whole host of homeopathy courses under the School of Homeopathy. We have 3 kind of acute prescribing courses, one for general home use, one for animals, pets and farm, and another for mother, pregnancy and baby. And they're short courses. They come packaged in this beautiful little box with the books and the course binder and the movie lectures. And they're quite quick to do and reasonably priced. We keep the price down because we want to introduce people to homeopathy and get them started. And then we have the professional course, which is a 4-year course, but you don't have to do all 4 years. Some students opt just to do the first year foundation. Others then go on and do the full 4 years. And then for homeopaths, we have a collection of postgraduate courses, clinical training courses, and a 1-year postgraduate course. And then, like you say, yes, under the School of Health, we've got nutrition. That's, again, we've got a beginner course, and then a 1-year advisor course, and then a 3-year professional course. We've got naturopathy, we've got herbal medicine, we've got a 1-year yoga philosophy course, we've got the anatomy and physiology course, the pathology and disease course. So with natural medicine's our thing. We're all over it. And I was just going to say our courses, distance learning, they're online. You can start whenever you like, and you do it at a pace that suits you. They're very flexible. And because people are coming as adult learners, and like you were just saying, how busy you were at the time. So if you enroll on a 1-year course with us, we actually give you a 2-year study period. So we're very generous with time frames of fitting everything in. And we've got an amazing team of teachers, as you already touched on with Jeff, and all these world leaders in homeopathy that have lectured for us and given recordings and provided material for the courses. We're very lucky, I think, because of our reputation, to have all of these people contributing to the study. It's great.
I know your dad was BFF with the world's most famous homeopath. Yes. I know him and Rajan were besties. And so you see all these famous homeopaths. And because you guys are they family friends with you guys. So it's just imbued. And I was going to say, the School of Health, is that also in the same premises of the School of Homeopathy? And for anyone who hasn't seen the premises, go to the website and check it out. It is like a magical... It just looks magical. It looks surreal.
It's like Hogwarts. We get called the Hogwarts of homeopathy because it's such a beautiful building.
I really want to come over and just actually see, just stand there and just experience what I imagine must be the most incredible vibe of all these incredible people that have been there.
Yeah, we have a beautiful video on the homepage of the School of Homeopathy website that shows the location off beautifully. And it is a fantastic Cotswold stone kind of building set in this very pretty little valley. It's completely standing on its own. We're very lucky.
And some nice walking trails and things there as well.
Yeah, we have 3 3 locations in and around Stroud. So we've got our admin office, and then we've got the school venue that we were just talking about, and then we have a clinic in the centre of Stroud. So yeah, when students come to see us, then they can come on a little tour of all 3 of our buildings. But yeah, we work out of the admin office mostly. That's when people phone us, they're talking to us.
Amazing. Now, when you talk about this course being online as well, like how do people do the assignments and what does an assignment tend to look like?
Yeah, so I was explaining earlier about how you work your way through a module and then you have the assignments at the end. And typically an assignment would be essay-based. And let's look at Unit 1, the very beginning of the course. There'll be a philosophy question, then there'll be a materia medica question, and then there'll be like a repertory question. And then later on, the repertory questions are replaced for cases. So we put a lot of emphasis on casework in our course because ultimately that's why people are learning it. So the more clinical studies and casework that you do, the more confident and competent you're going to feel at the end. So in Unit 1, your philosophy question is to compare and contrast what it's like to see a conventional doctor and what it's like to go and see a homeopath. And most students can do this off personal experience. They would have seen both. And you're asked to compare how long is the consultation, what was the practitioner wearing, what sort of questions did they ask you, what sort of thing did they prescribe you at the end, what was it like to go there, and just compare them. But you're looking for the benefits of both. Every system of medicine has something to offer, and it's important to look at the benefits. And then they'd look at materia medica. They'll do a quick assignment on arnica, which is the hero of homeopathy, the number 1 remedy in homeopathy. It should be in every single ambulance and every single A&E ward, but unfortunately it's not quite there yet. But I think it will be one day.
I believe it will. I've got arnica on my logo. It's like an arnica daisy around.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So they do a quick 1-pager on arnica. They can get going if they're not already using it, so they can learn about it and start using it as a first aid remedy for shock and for bumps and bruises. It's very well known for bumps and bruises, but people forget about the shock aspect. Arnica is all about that kind of shock and the kind of person that wants to hide away, say, oh no, don't touch me. I'm fine. I'm fine. If they're doing that, then you know they've had a shock, they've had a bump, and maybe they've fallen down the stairs and they're pretending they're fine. Give them some. So they're doing an assignment on that. And then we get them to look at sulfur, which is probably the largest chronic remedy that's used by homeopaths. And it's a very deep, far-reaching constitutional remedy, really interesting. And we get them to look at that, but we ask them to look at it as though sulfur is a character, like a person. And then they dramatize the remedy as though Mr. Sulfur is going to the bank manager to ask for a loan. And then they have this kind of conversation between Mr. Sulfur and the bank manager. And for anyone that's into homeopathy that knows a little bit about sulfur, you're going to know that's quite an entertaining conversation.
And even what they're wearing would probably be entertaining.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Because they're going to think they're looking quite smart, but they're going to be a bit tatty, and they've probably got some egg down the front of their tie, and they're all a bit hot and sweaty, and they're asking the bank manager to throw the windows open, and then they're coming up with all these crazy ideas and trying to convince the bank manager to lend them loads of money. And yeah, it's fun. It's fun and games. So you're taking the symptoms of the remedy, creatively turning it into this kind of funny sketch. And that, I think, is really important because it helps you to remember the remedies. And of course, on the course, you're not going to learn about 4,000 remedies. You'll probably learn about 90 to 100. But you need to know how to read the remedies, how to look at them in a book and turn the symptoms into a picture or a sketch of the remedy in your mind's eye so that you can see whether that remedy actually fits with that patient and those ailments. And that's a real skill and an art that you have to learn as you go through your study of homeopathy. And if you just learn lists of symptoms, it's going to be so dry and so boring and so hard to remember. So using techniques like dramatizing the characters, it's creative, it's fun, and it's memorable. So yeah, those are the types of assignments they would be doing. And then we have an online clinic once a month that the students are invited to, and that's included in the course price. And they can start from year 1. They become more important in the latter ends of the course, but the students come to those monthly. We have a monthly discussion group online. That's actually run by Luke, So if you've listened to Luke Norland on his podcast, then you'll get a flavour of that. And the tutors, they run what we call tutor group meetings 4 times a year. So you get to meet with your cohort of students and your tutor and have these Q&A sessions. And then we do these webinars, live webinars. So they get face-to-face teaching from different teachers in the school. But all the main components are either written down or pre-recorded. So the students are never waiting for a lecture in order to be able to crack on with their work. That's our sort of raison d'etre, if you like, is around flexibility and making everything work for the students. So there's nothing stopping them from doing the study at a pace that suits them.
So if they wanted to finish it earlier than the 4 years, can they?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, we have some students that go faster. Yeah. So we say if you've got 14 to 16 hours a week to do the study, then you should be able to complete 1 year in a year. But if you've got 21 hours or 28 hours, then yeah, you can go faster. So we have had the occasional student that does a year in 6 months, but you need the time.
Yeah.
Homeopathy is not a subject that you would normally rush through. As long as you've got the time to dedicate to the study, then you can go as fast as you like.
I agree that personal development really goes as important and really goes along with the studying. And I know for Homeopath that for our 4-year course, rushed it in about 2. And she always asks me questions and I'm like, you should really know this. This is pretty basic stuff. So it really does worry me because she went through it so quickly. And so, yeah, it does. I really feel you need that time to really digest everything and think about it, sit with it, not just rush through the next thing, but really sit with it, make it part of your DNA, let it become part of you. And
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And so what would you say, what can your students do after they've qualified? Would they just automatically go into a practice at home, like a home clinic, or what sort of options do they have?
Yeah, our course is fully accredited, so they would be able to go straight onto a register, hopefully one in their country if one exists. If not, they can join the Society of Homeopaths in the UK. So they would have the qualification from the school and then the letters after their name from also being registered and then hopefully insured in their country if insurance is available. And then, yes, they step straight into practice. Clinical training is a very big part of our course. Not only do they do video cases in the course that they get full written feedback on, they also have this online clinic once a month that I discussed. They're invited to come to summer schools in the UK if they want to, these 7-day intensives where they do 50 hours of clinical training in one go. And then in year 3 and 4, they go into supervised practice. So they start to see patients themselves under the guidance or with the help of a supervisor. You've got the support there of a professional homeopath, but you've got somebody really polishing and helping you with your practice. So by the time they get to the end of the course, they're ready to leave. They're already practicing and they've been practicing for 18 months. So they just, in a way, they continue doing what they're already doing, but without having to demonstrate everything to the school. And so they just fly off into practice. And then for some, yes, it's setting up a practice at home. They might have space in the house that they want to use as their clinic, or they might have a posh shed in the garden that they use as their consultation room, or they might hire premises in the local town, maybe share those premises with other therapists and have a kind of clinic or a clinic space that they use in town. Or there might be a natural health clinic that's renting spaces or that wants a homeopath as part of their team of professionals. Or there might be a health food shop that has a consultation room attached to that. And then there are some opportunities to work within the NHS or alongside doctors and so on, but those opportunities there aren't as many of those opportunities as there used to be. So I would say if you're studying to be a homeopath, you're going to be your own boss. You're going to be setting up your own business. That's what most homeopaths do, unless you go and work in a natural health clinic and then somebody else is looking after everything for you. But to be honest, I think for a lot of people that come to homeopathy, that is part of the attraction. Being your own boss, running your own clinic, running your own hours, that is part of the attraction because of that flexibility and fitting things in and building your business is very exciting. And because of my background, we have a whole load of modules on setting up in practice.
You keep reading my mind. I was about to ask you that. Yeah. So you do that as well. That's amazing because the thing is that homeopaths are not necessarily born entrepreneurs or know how to start a business. So if you're giving them that training as well, that's invaluable.
It's really important. And I think I'm so proud of the graduates now when I see them and I see the websites that they're building. They're so beautiful and they're so articulate. And I really hope that I've helped to foster and create that appreciation for good communication and good marketing, because it's exciting setting up your own business, especially as a homeopath, when you've learned about the personalities of all these different remedies and all your different patients. And then it's, what about me? What about my personality? And how do I want to reflect that in everything that I do? You know, in the writing and the colors that I choose and the visual logo and the identity that I pull together. So that's a really exciting part of the course and of being and of setting up in practice. So yeah, it's great to see our graduates going out there and setting up and becoming professional homeopaths.
Manny, it's lovely seeing your passion that you have for education and for homeopathy. It's just oozing out of you. You can see it. You live and breathe it.
Oh.
Can you tell our listeners where they can get hold of you?
Oh, yeah, of course. Just go to School of Homeopathy or schoolofhealth.com.
Easy peasy.
And you'll find us. Easy peasy, yeah. Just School of Homeopathy, schoolofhealth.com. Either one of those with .com after the end. And you'll find us. And we'd be very happy to talk to anyone that's interested in knowing more. Come and learn homeopathy. Change your life.
Yeah. Careful what you wish for, hey? It becomes a lifelong obsession. A good healthy
there's
one,
always
that's for sure.
Always something new to learn. The whole of nature as your teacher, so there's always something new to learn. But that's most homeopaths love that. It's fascinating, lifelong learning. Yeah.
Manny, thank you so much for your time. It's been lovely speaking with you, and I really hope our listeners get in touch with you and find out a bit more about what you do.
Oh, thank you. It's an absolute pleasure to be here and to be talking about homeopathy with you. And thank you for all the work you're doing to promote homeopathy and to get people interested and finding out more just to look after themselves and this beautiful planet we're on.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Great. Bye.